Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's the joint Rollah Ayatollah, as you see at the bottom of my tag team partner, Chidi Bang. What's happening, everybody? What's going on with you, brother?
What's good, man? What's good? I'm doing well. We are the Underground, a professional wrestling podcast. Thank you for joining us. How's your week been?
Shit. It flew, to be quite honest, man. The week has been unbelievably busy for your boy. But what I will say is that you have, you know how we say on this podcast, if I do something in 1 week, it's okay. But if I come back next week, it's okay because that's just how I feel. And I'm like, man, that's wishy washy, whatever. I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not watch AEW live, so when I killed your ass last week, here go your pound of flesh, brother.
Listen, you know what? Here's the thing. I have grace for people, but I gotta get some shit off my chest today. Okay, but first let's talk about something that we both enjoyed. We both checked out Deadpool versus Deadpool and Wolverine. It was a very fun movie for me. Just want to give my takes on it real quick.
Absolutely.
Really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say any spoilers, but definitely go check it out. It's not gonna reset the entire MCU, but it's just if you guys enjoy good fun movies and it's rated R. We guys just got in a group chat. It's the #1 rated R movie ever, like first week opening. That's incredible accomplishment for them and Disney, because Disney, of all people, doing a rated R movie and it being this successful, maybe we can get a Punisher, maybe we can get, Blade, and get that to be, true to form. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it thoroughly. How'd you feel about it?
I thought it was a really good movie. I'm not really a big Deadpool franchise guy. I don't know how integral he is to in comic books. Also, he was never ever available to the MCU for me to even have the complexity even contextualize what this means. But
Yeah.
when we were at 6553, so shit, that had to be about 6 years ago when we were talking about Fox buying out. Selling themselves out. Disney purchasing it. It was like, what can be the grandiose? And your first thing, Rich first thing, 21st thing is like, we better see the fucking X-Men. Like that is bare minimum of
That's it.
Fox, my nigga.
Yeah, man, I don't give a fuck about B tier like Spider-Man villain. I don't give a fuck about necessarily Elektra even or Daredevil that much. Just the X-Men really were the thing, and I think we're getting closer to it. I think it's gonna be a little bit messy how we get there, but as long as we get there, I'm gonna be fine with it. Like the whole multiverse thing is how we're gonna have to go about getting them here. But the reason why it's very meta, like the way they're doing things is very meta. Like you gotta kind of know some shit to really understand what's happening in Deadpool and understand the jokes sometimes and what's going on for the long haul, with the MCU. But we're all nerds. Like most of their fan base is nerds, and they're gonna get the money regardless, So I don't think they mind being that meta,
Well, I think the turn for me, no lie, is X-Men '97, right? The animated series that was rebooted over this past year. I think everything was coincidentally like succincting in itself. I was necessarily not a big fan of how they did Kang. Everybody said that Kang would come back and return and be, and then you see what happened in low key season 2 with the Tree of Life. Then you see X-Men '97. They're back with Rama Tut. Like it's a lot of things. You're like, okay, they can kind of, and then the Fantastic Four is Rama Tut, and then so you can really finagle your way into stuff. But
this weekend was, San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest Comic-Con they do. And they pretty much have confirmed that Kang Dynasty is no longer happening, which is unfortunate because it's you started the saga with this guy and now like he's just gonna disappear. So there's a lot of messiness going on with that I don't understand. And now Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. How the hell is this gonna work? I don't know, but we'll see. I'm not completely sold on it, but I'm gonna go along for the ride, kind of like I'm doing with wrestling, kind of like I go from week to week here with us. To transition, unless you have anything else to say about it.
That's our transition bell right there.
I appreciate it. Slick transition right there. But the transition to the week that was in professional wrestling. First, before we get into the actual shows, let's talk about our group chat. All right, let's talk about that. All right, so me and Chris have a group chat with Ray and Rich. Hot shout out to Ray and Rich. We love those guys. And this week made me realize something about me and Chris's conversations. Me and Chris's conversations about wrestling. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. On something, in some way, this guy, joint Rollah Ayatollah, this way, joint Rollah Ayatollah, has to completely contradict what I'm saying. Even if I'm saying it was completely basic logic, he has to contradict it. And as you guys have seen, if you guys have been watching us for a while, if it's an AEW conversation and I'm negative about it, I'm negative, I'm a pessimist. All right, next week I'm positive. Oh, I didn't like that shit. Now he's a negative and positive. It's not even really me. He just has to figure out a way to go on the opposite direction. Even what I'm saying is basic logic. So let's talk about first conversation. This week, Bobby Lashley has been, I guess, released or let go, or his contract was up in the WWE. So Bobby Lashley, big fan. A lot of people say I look like him. I don't know why, but I'm a big fan of Bobby Lashley. Genuinely would like to see him in the main event scene and grow with, the Pride and, Street Profits and all that stuff. And we had this discussion about how he's been used since Triple H has been in charge. And I am not a fan of how he's been used. I think that I was bringing up points that if he leaves WWE right now, I'm going to have to look at Triple H a little sideways on how he presents a main event black wrestler, male superstar, because we have not seen that yet. I'm not saying that's not impossible. I'm not saying he has something against him. I'm not saying he's racist, none of that. I'm saying that I want to see that from him going forward. I'm saying that it genuinely has to be an effort put on making the star and making him a main eventer, because there seems like to be a ceiling right now, with how far the black superstars can go, that are men, particularly. So I say my piece, and this guy, Jordan Roy told himself, Chris the Most High, has to come in and bring up AEW and how they're using Swerve. And I'm like, come on, chill. Hold on. Pause. Let's rewind and understand this conversation has nothing to do with AEW. And as much as you can say about how they book people and book black superstars, right now, as we currently stand, their champions are black men. I'm talking about how we use main event talent in WWE. There was a fight to get Kofi to be a champion. We were for years saying Big E's main event talent. Now that's all Vince's era. And then, then finally Bobby, he becomes a big star, main event talent champion. I now see the transition happening. He was supposed to face Bray at WrestleMania. I don't think he was going to win that, but he ends up getting put in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal after the regime change, or during the controversy of whether Vince was here or not. People still say that he was around for that WrestleMania. Some people say that, they have already changed and then he came back, obviously, officially later on that year. So he was in Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. They kept him in the mid-card on Raw for a bit. Had some really banger matches with Seth Rollins and, Austin Theories and the like over there. And then, then pretty much wasn't in a position to capitalize off of all the stuff he did during the pandemic and afterwards. He kind of was just relegated to mid-card. And Chris brought up that he probably had an injury and all that stuff. They put him on SmackDown. He joined the Pride. And then this WrestleMania, he's subjected to a mid-card, not even mid-card, like a C-level tier feud with Karrion Kross. I said, listen, he could have been in a position with a Randy Orton, another main event talent, and AJ Styles, a Shinsuke. I don't care who. You could have figured something out, but that spot should have been bigger for me. But hey, it is what it is, and now he's left the company. All right, cool. If this is what it has to be, it's what it has to be. And we had our conversations about the Hurt Business. We've had our conversations about MVPs mentioning that he came to Triple H to mention about reuniting the Hurt Business, and he wouldn't let it happen. MVP spoke about that online, Instagram, and been very vocal about how he's been trying to push for the reunion of that group, which we all loved. It's a positive representation of business black men, not like a jokey thing like New Day. This is more like a business. We take care of business in the ring. We fight well, and we take care of business outside the ring. We come in suits. That representation seemed like once it started getting over, they had to pour hot water or cold water on the fire. That was the Hurt Business. That stands for Vince and now Triple H, who could have revived it. So I don't mean to call it any type of race card or anything, but I'm saying that it is looking fishy to me that there is no black man in the main event at all. And to be honest, there's not many black men at all on Raw or SmackDown altogether. You really want that are doing something, of note. So let's just put it what it is. I'm just saying Triple H, to me, is going to be looked at funny until that changes. Go.
You're entitled to have that. You're entitled to have that opinion. I mean, clearly, you know what I'm saying. But secondarily, though, what I would like to say is that I can't. You mentioned Biggie, you mentioned Kofi, you mentioned Bobby, all under the Vince reign, and it took him how long to get to that point, and it took how much of the fucking undercurrent lifting for that to take place. And we still gave, as you just stated before, I give grace. So, with that being said, I'm not going to argue that Shelton, Cedric, MVP, Bobby, Montez, Angelo, Apollo Cruz, Carmelo Hayes. What other black talent do we have that I'm missing out of right now?
R-Truth, maybe.
But they all can be more than what they are. I will not argue with that. When it comes down to the Hurt Business and the bloodline, I've already acquiesced and said that I agree with you on that. What they gave us instead of, again, was not what we wanted, but when it was done right, it was what we wanted. Cody ended up legitimately being the guy. Now, could Bobby have been that guy? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to do the comparison, but what I do want to say is that in absence of them not having a black male superstar at the top, they did give us a really good, well-rounded, thought-forward story with Cody for 2 years. Something that we also like. That's where I will be a contrarian because it's not the challenge, it's not to put you on the spot, it's not to do anything. When we argue, there are two things that can be true at the same time, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
A, number one, I come to wrestling not just for matches. I come for stories, which is what we argue about. I come for stories. And two, we both collectively said, man, there's too much black talent out here for y'all not to have somebody at the top or somebody relevant or somebody in a place where it's seen. So
if they did the same thing with Bobby on SmackDown that they did with Drew on Raw, where he was hovering around the championship but never got it, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be saying nothing now. I'll be mad that he left.
That's true.
But the way they treated Bobby on the way out was as if he doesn't like. There was weeks where he just had a backstage segment with the Street Profits, and then we'll have 2 weeks where they didn't see him at all. Like it was just really inconsistent. Like it's almost like they didn't have a plan for Bobby at all going into WrestleMania and threw him with Karrion Kross's group.
And I would say that I would say to you that's type egregious, right?
Yeah.
But when I did bring up the AEW situation, all I was saying as a contrast and as a contrarian, wrestling as a whole has a problem with figuring out how to. And as AEW has a black male champion currently, right now, all I am saying is that as he was booked on the way up, like they do with plenty of black talent in WWE, once they get to that pinnacle on the top, they do not know how to sustain it. That is across the board, right? So to your point, Bobby gets on top. Bobby, I think, gets hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I know they did the kayfabe hurt where they took him off, but I think legitimately he was out for a couple months with the elbow surgery, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just putting things together.
Yeah.
Bobby being hurt and coming back, other people have that same effect. But when we saying we rolling, like they was rolling, unfortunately. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want to say that Bobby was a casualty of them not having nothing for him, but I will say for him to disrupt what they did have going forward, I think would have been a disservice to the storytelling. I would say that. I would say when Punk coming back, Randy coming back, Drew still hovering at the top. Cody just won the championship on SmackDown. The bloodline is clearly, we got Jacob Fatu. He's been in the cut since last April. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got things going on. It's not that we forgot about you. It's just that, like, we really rolling. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got like the Randys, the KOs that could have worked with him on WrestleMania. You've had, they could even work together as a tag team, and being in a tag title. I don't know, like there's a lot of situations that I think could have reshuffled the deck a little bit. Because going into WrestleMania, Randy Orton and KO were in a feud with the Bloodline, but at WrestleMania they faced Logan Paul. Like, so I get it, like but.
That's true.
There's a way to utilize your talent better. And we say the same thing with AEW and wrestling as a whole across the board. So I hear you on that. And, obviously with Swerve's title run, could it be more impactful? Absolutely. But the attempt to say, nah, we're putting him where as a main man is huge to me. And he is to me. It worked to me. What they've done with Swerve worked. Regardless of what we're going to say, how they've used him, he's a big deal on that company.
And Bobby was too.
Bobby was, and then they just forgot about him. So I hope that doesn't happen for after his title, run. But we'll see. I don't think they will do that. I really don't. I think that they see him as a talent. They presented him like that when they got him. That they can build with, and they got him to a big spot where he's defeating major stars on their roster. So it's a different thing for me, with Bobby. And then when it comes to Triple H, I know I should kind of get over some of the things I've seen, but I remember him just burying black talent. I remember when Shelton Benjamin on a random Raw had a freaking banger with Shawn Michaels, and it's still talked about as a classic match.
It is.
Weeks later, the steam is building for Shawn. What's he gonna be? A week later? He's in a match with Triple H and Evolution. They beat him bloody, and I'm like, oh, bet. All right, we're about to get Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H. No, nothing came of it. Just buried this nigga. I remember the whole thing with Booker T. I remember everything he's done at WrestleMania 19 to squash Booker T's theme. So it seems like whenever, like with Montez, he got a huge reaction at Elimination Chamber last year. He didn't mention him in the press conference. It just seems like he has not truly co-signed a black superstar the way he does other people. And he's also been a prominent of burying them in the past when he was a worker. So I'm not saying that that's who he is. I'm saying that from the outside looking in, I can see a trend where he might not care about there being a black main event talent. And I have an issue with that. As much as I love the product, that's the specific issue I have, you know.
And you can say that, and I would say my contrarian argument is that he's been a big proponent. I mean, it's really hard for me to say when he's given Taylor a chance after he came back and gave Wyndham a chance, right? He's given black women a chance. He's given
I'm not
Japanese.
talking. None of those guys are black men.
Hold
That's what
on,
I'm talking about.
I'm finishing my point as to saying that it's hard for me to say that it's this particular subset of a people that like that's what I'm when he has built equity and credibility in those others minority places. That's what I'm saying. So all
Taylor is
I'm
not a
saying,
minority.
excuse me,
Taylor is not a minority.
Okay. Okay. Io Sky is. I mean, fucking Shinsuke Nakamura is. I mean, fucking Finn Balor is a minor. He fits as a white man, but he's Ireland. Becky Lynch, he gave the ball to. Like all I'm saying is that minorities in a vacuum, in a macro, black women. Jade, he signed her up nice. Bianca made her longer. All I'm saying is that when you say I have a problem, I can hear you with that, and I can understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is that if I have a contrarian argument about timing with Bobby, we've been calling for Montez for a while. I don't know what his plan for Montez is, right? And he can shine Montez up real motherfucking nice and put the rocket on him. And I know he can do that anytime.
He also could have reunited the Hurt Business. He also could have, put Bobby in a better position. He also could have made the Street Profits tag team champions by now. He could have done a lot of shit, and he hasn't.
Street Profits being tag team champions again. When Awesome Truth is reinvigorated, when DIY is reinvigorated, Street Profits have foils now at this point. Like if they have the tag team championships, what is there for them to chase as baby faces? I'm just trying to ask what the story is that we're telling here.
I mean, that story is easy that's the easy part. My
part is not easy when we've been arguing.
My thing is making the choice to. My thing is making the choice of who you're putting over and why and how.
We can't say stories are easy when we argue that they don't tell stories easily. That's all I'm arguing.
No, I'm saying for the tag division to have a story. I don't argue about Triple H. Funny thing about it, his regime. I really don't think they have a problem telling stories. They have done a great job with WrestleMania with multiple matches. I do think the problem is all right, are you choosing to do these things? And I don't think he's making those choices. When MVP comes out and says, hey, I came to him and talked to him about this, and he said no to my face, that's like questionable to me. Why? What is the reason? So that's the reason I have to ask these questions. On the majority of things in WWE, I'm extremely positive, and I really give him his credit every week. When NXT was going on, I gave him his credit every week on this pod. I loved him. He's the best booker of the year last year, and probably will be this year as well. So my thing with him is that, all right, boom, let me sit here and see if you can do this now. Let me just see if you can put representation for young black men in a positive way in the main event. Kevin Nash saw something wrong with it too, and I came here and I said, you know what, Kevin Nash, there's some black men, and I kind of came for Triple H when it happened, because I was like, there's Obafemi and there's Carmelo Hayes, they're coming out the ranks.
There's Wesley.
Right, let's see, Wesley. We will see how he does with them on the main roster, though. That's my thing. When they get to the main roster, let's see how they work. Is there gonna be a ceiling on them too? Is Carmelo gonna go past where he's at right now, where he's kind of hovering around the mid card? Maybe might have a match, but he hasn't had one real singular story yet since he's been on the roster yet. So how he using Braun Breaker?
How you say he? All right, man. Okay. All right,
how they're using Braun Breaker is not how they're using Carmelo Hayes.
Because Carmelo Hayes is not fucking Braun Breaker. We can be honest with that, bro.
That's true. Okay. But I'm just saying, Frank, they haven't chosen to say, all right, we're putting him in an angle that's going to build to a SummerSlam, a Money in the Bank. He hasn't had an angle yet. Let's be real. He hasn't. Stop.
Him and LA Knight wasn't an angle?
Him and LA Knight haven't had it was a conversation they had one week, blow up next week. That's not an angle, bro. To me, that's not a thing. LA Knight's in an angle with Logan Paul right now, and other people are Santos Escobar is not in the angle, but he's involved in it. You know, that's like he's around. He's hovering.
Andrade's not an angle with Carmelo Hayes right now. No, it's just a series of matches.
They had a program backstage. They had a match. I'm not sure if they're going to continue it.
They had
I'm
two
not sure.
matches. They wrestled last week and the week before last, didn't they? They
didn't wrestle on Friday. I didn't see it. They wrestled on Friday. I didn't see that match. Maybe they did, but I saw the previous one and it was a really good match. But to me, that's not an angle. To me, I mean, maybe it's a mid-tier angle. You can call it maybe a TV angle, but you know when they're pressing the button, like, all right, boom, we're gonna try to see if we can get something going on with him, and maybe him and LA Knight afterwards will have something. I'll see. You know, we'll see. I'm sure it will happen. I'm not saying they're never gonna do an angle to Carmelo Hayes, but I'm just saying right now they haven't yet, so we'll see. You know, but we'll go. You know, I'm just, and this is a thing. When I talk about these things, it's not me just being a pessimist. It's not me being negative or anything like that. It's me saying actual concerns off of evidence that I see. Quote in point, case in point, we had a second conversation this week of a mid-card women's championship.
Yeah.
Shout out, Rich. He hit me. He hit us up about that, and we were talking about. He asked me. I said, you know, Zelina did great, and that they should put a mid-card title on her. And I was like, I don't like that idea. And he asked me why. You know, why wouldn't I like the idea of a mid-card women's championship? And I gave a clear, logical answer for that. One, I don't think I mean, and this is one is a preference. I'm a traditionalist. I'm an old school wrestling fan who I don't like to see as many titles on all the talent. I remember the days of the Jake Snake Roberts and Roddy Piper not having championships. You know, whether you're talking about Ivory or Victoria, you know, they fought years before they had a championship, and then they became bigger deals. I don't think everybody needs a title. Tori Wilson never had it. Stacey Cleaver never had it. And they don't need it, you know? But I guess we're in a different age now where we kind of like look at the titles as evidence that you're doing well or something. Like it has to be part of it. Mind you, I brought up Tori Wilson and Stacey Cleaver because they're Hall of Famers. Like we still remember these people. I'm saying that you can have a credible career in wrestling and be remembered without being a champion per se. Now Rich was saying that, you know, Zelina been doing great past couple weeks, and she would be great to be a first, you know, ever inaugural United States or Intercontinental Women's Champion. And I'm like, no, I don't agree, because I don't think everybody should have a title. I do think that business side of things, it makes perfect sense. More titles to sell, more things to push on people and get people over and say they're a champion, more accolades they can put on the resume. Cool. Secondly, as I kept saying, there's only 5 hours of television programming a week. And if I'm having an issue that they couldn't get Bobby on television and all that stuff, if I'm having an issue with, all right, Carmelo Hayes hasn't been in the angle yet, if I'm having an issue that, all right, you know, certain things are not showing on TV when it's, you know, then we'll have to, you know that I prefer, and everybody's going to have to take their time, then adding these 2 titles, it just adds another division in a sense, or 2 divisions that are taking up time during the week for you to take away time from other things. I like the 4-week build to a pay-per-view. I like having one story, like a piece of the story each week, whether it's the IC Championship happening, where we get Sami Zayn talking his shit, Braun Breaker comes out and challenges him. Oh, Illa defends Sami, he takes him out. All right, next week they have a number 1 contenders match. Braun Breaker takes out Ilya Dragunov. He's number 1 contender. Like that kind of build, I enjoy, and they're doing a great job with it, with the IC Championship on Raw for the men. And I think that can be interfered with if we add 2 more titles, one on SmackDown, one on Raw. And here's the thing. We might not be the ones, me and Chris, might not be the ones complaining that, hey, man, the women's tag division is not getting much love anymore. Hey, man, the IC championship not getting much love anymore. Hey man, the men's tag division is not popping. There's going to be a fan base looking at one of these divisions when those divisions arrive and said the other one's not getting any shine. And there's going to be a champion. It's going to be a champion by name and not defending their championship because there's not enough time on television to defend it and get them all over at the same time. So we're over here, me and Chris, me and Rich having that discussion. This contrarian, as he always has to do, takes my argument and just says, no. How could you say that? How could I say that? Because there's so much talent and so much talent that they need, to give them a title. I don't agree with that. There's always a lot of talent. And my thing is it just math on how much time you give to each division, how much time you give to each person on your roster to get them over. And sometimes you got to give time to people who don't have titles to get their character over. So that's what I was trying to get to. And my concern is not necessarily negative. It's not even pessimistic. It's just like if I were to say, hey, Chris, you got to, feed the family, but maybe, you should understand that to make the food that you're trying to make for all these people, let's say you got 10 people you got to feed, it's going to take a lot of time for you to make the food. Maybe we should, let some people know that they can go get some fast food and we're gonna double back and get them tomorrow. That's basically what it is. And you wouldn't say I'm being negative or pessimistic. I'm saying, hey man, the amount of time it takes us to make this much food is gonna be longer than than these niggas need to eat. So that's all it is.
This is why I'm a contrarian. This is why I push back. You just said for your argument for Bobby, telling stories ain't hard. This regime, for them, telling stories ain't hard. I'm not saying telling stories ain't hard. Telling stories ain't hard. What I was writing down was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 titles. They have 9 titles currently right now. I want to ask you, what title do you feel is not getting love currently as they are right now?
Raw tag titles.
Judgment Day, they just changed titles. They just got with the Judgment Day. How are they not prevalent right now?
All they're doing storyline wise with Judgment Day is having Finn Balor and JD involved with the Rhea stuff,
before then,
stuff, and the Dom stuff.
Before then,
they had a match. I'm just you asked me a question. I'm answering it.
You're talking about you're encapsulating 2 weeks. I'm asking you the story. 2 weeks. 2 weeks is not a long time.
Before those 2 weeks.
Before those 2 weeks,
you wasn't doing shit.
What?
You weren't doing shit.
Okay. When R-Truth and the Miz were scrapping to keep their titles because R-Truth kept putting them in tag team title matches that wasn't a story, or you didn't like it. Just say you didn't fuck with it, but that was a story. And they finally got the better of them when R-Truth put the titles on the line against Judgment Day, and they're back against the wall if they don't win Judgment. If the Judgment Day don't, I'm just saying, you might not want to fuck with the story, but don't fuck with the story. That's cool, but you can't say that you can't tell me that story. Right now, they've had the championships for 2 weeks. The Raw Tag Team Champions have
Maybe
not.
It is a story.
Hold on. What I'm just saying is, to your point, is that in 2 weeks, as we were having an argument in the group chat, it's okay for champions to take a back seat to another fucking story, which is exactly what they did. It's not hurting the titles. It's not hurting the competitors. It's not hurting the fucking division. They just took a back seat to the fucking Raw Women's Champion and the World Champion. I'm just asking you, how is that a bad thing?
All right. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you add 2 more titles, you're going to have 2 more titles that are kind of in the same scenario because there's only a certain amount of time. If you're okay with that, cool. And that's you.
I will, as the contrarian to my point is what I was getting to is what I was getting to. My larger point is, we've already talked about how time away from television helps a fan, us, just talking about us. Roman just proved that he's a boxer with his title. So I won't put every title in that category, but every fucking title is not the big main title. So as Roman's not defending his, you're muted or your mic. You're still muted, brother. No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you now. I think I can hear the background. Testing? Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
So Roman Reigns being a boxer with the title is unique, and it works because he's Roman Reigns. I just want to make that very clear. I do not want to see a women's Intercontinental United States champion doing the same thing, or a tag division wrestler doing the same thing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, in compound to what I'm saying is, when Roman was off TV, he allowed other stories to breathe. Those other stories were able to breathe without a title. So what I am saying is, as other people are taking off TV, are other like Cody's in Japan, are they doing a split in Australia, or are they in England or something like that? Well, Bailey's right there in Japan. Bailey being in Japan takes a fucking championship, the championship, off of SmackDown. What women's storyline was progressed? The women's tag titles story. But that was just a run-of-the-mill type of thing. There's no other additional story with stakes, with meaning while Bailey's gone. So in replacement of having a women's mid-card championship, we then possibly have an opportunity. We in the group chat we said, "Hey, Meechin's been shining a lot. I wonder what they're putting her in."
I said it on the pod last week. We talked about Meechin, yeah.
Right. So yeah. And so to kind of boost her up, NXT did not need a secondary women's title, right? And you can't say that there's so much talent down there in NXT on the women's roster that they got to have something to fight for. And that's not an argument up top on the main roster, because those girls are essentially still trainees.
No, the problem
so they don't. Kalani don't need it. Solo need it. Jada Parker don't need it. They need the reps.
The problem with NXT is I would have made Kalani and Sol Ruka a tag team, but they don't got a women's tag title down there anymore. They have to and mind you, now Raw and SmackDown have separate women's tags. No, they have one tag title. So
they have one tag title, but they have separate tag divisions, so that can work. And the NXT tag and the women's tag were going down to every branch, which is something
so that's how it works. So if we're doing this title, then I would prefer it to be like that. One IC championship that can go as a Raw or SmackDown, kind of like that. That she can, kind of go between brands. I have a feeling they wouldn't do that, but I don't think there is like a desperate need for a mid-card women's championship. I don't. I think that there's a lot of talent that should compete, have storylines that lead towards the top title. And I get it. There's a lot of heavy hitters on Raw and SmackDown. You got Bailey, Nia, Bianca, Jade, all type, and then Charlotte come back. You got on Raw, you got Rhea, Liv, and we got a bunch of women that are definitely talented. And we talked about it all week, man. The women are killing it. I get it. But if we do that, just know there's only a certain amount of time that go around. So my point is this. Let's say they have a WrestleMania. Let's say they have a SummerSlam match, Women's Intercontinental Championship online. Are you okay with, for the next two pay-per-views, that title not being defended? Because other championships got to be defended too.
We just did it with the United States Championship right now with Logan Paul, brother. And that's a championship that's been, but what I'm saying, but what I'm to your point, bro, they built a story around it and the title was not defended. So they can do it.
Listen, my point is this. That's not my point. My point is this. Okay. Are you okay with that happening for that title? Because I think the United States Championship is also a unique situation when it's all because it's on an influencer that can wrestle. But Logan Paul, when LA, if LA Knight wins that title, he's not going to be taking months off. Roman, Logan, two unique champions. Logan is a influencer who has obligations for his podcast, for his other brand, Prime, business meetings. So when they put an title on him, they know what they're doing it for. They know that he's going to wear that to a UFC event for his brother or to a boxing match for brother. They're doing it for that reason. So they're okay with, hey, he's not going to be on TV. LA Knight is going to be on TV with that title.
So is this new title when we're doing 2 nights on damn near every pay-per-view going forward. Next year they got 2 nights of SummerSlam, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got 2 nights of WrestleMania. Like, we can make these matches actually now matter instead of just having matches. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm envisioning. Like, if you have more than 2 titles, you are now forced to have more than just Charlotte, Rhea, Bianca, Asuka on the. Bro, you get the fuck out of here. It's 2 nights. You got 1 major women's title match on both nights.
That's next year SummerSlam.
Right.
That's SummerSlam WrestleMania. Mind you, SummerSlam WrestleMania, there are going to be matches that are pushed to a pre-show, or even with that. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if we're getting to WrestleMania,
not title matches. I would think that if we're adding 2, and I'm just saying, if they're adding 2 more titles, that is now a total of 11 championships. If we have 2 nights for major, because we got to think about it. That IC championship, that United States championship, those will replace world title matches on Backlash. Those will replace world title matches on fucking Armageddon or whatever fucking ancillary C fucking program that they have we got 11 championships for Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Money in the Bank, and fucking Survivor Series. And they're going to be 2 nights. I think you can make you can make it to where every match is a championship match with the storylines in between it, where they doing 4 to 5 weeks be built on television.
All right. I'm not saying, like I said in the group chat, I'm not saying it's impossible, but when I bring up a concern, hey, because it's a fact, there's only 5 hours. So I'm like, oh, okay, adding more titles, might be able to, like, it might cause an issue. It's not negative. It's not being a pessimist. It's just being realist about the fact that, hey, we already have a lot of talent trying to get time. They took Nia and they did a great job with Nia and Gunther winning the King of the Ring, making it worth something and saying, hey, sit around until SummerSlam. We got you. That's great to get some new people some time while you do that. Nia, Liv, they weren't even in WrestleMania. They weren't even on the card.
Right.
And right now they're major players, so
that's my thing with Bobby. I'm sorry not to cut. That's my thing with Bobby. Like, if I know you don't like it, I know it eats at you, my nigga, to be on the sideline. But you never know when your fucking card is called, bro. You never know. And I know what you're saying, but it's just like in football, bro. It's just like when we got the developments in fucking the game. Sometimes you try to force feed that 150 yards to your receiver, nigga. You throw 4 picks, you lose the game, you get the development trait, but what the fuck that mean? You know what I'm saying? Other times the game just plays. You like, I ain't passing, I gotta run it. I fucked up on the straight. You go back to him after the development joint. You try to force feed him in the next couple weeks, and then you come back and they give you another fucking joint, and that's how it goes. But that's how I seen it as. And my thing is that Bobby may not have been a Triple H guy. Right, so
that's what it really was.
I'm never here to say that politics do not play a role in it, but when we are talking about black male talent under Triple H's watch, I am looking at the guys that he likes. I'm looking at, they dicked around Ricochet for a little bit. By the time Triple H got a hold of Ricochet, like, hey, I'm good on that. Triple H's like, hey man, you good? You can keep your name too. You can come back whenever you want. Fuck it. We still got Carmelo in the tuck. We got Wesley coming back. We got Obafemi. We got motherfucking. These are all Triple H scouted guys. Even though you said that's Triple H.
You haven't seen Olas in ages. Now MVP's leaving.
I don't think that's not a Triple H guy though. I don't think that's.
I'm just saying, like, black male talent on the main roster, what are you doing with it? You know, so
politics gonna be politics.
You sent Cedric and Adonis to NXT. Swerve, left. Obviously, I see there being a
Cedric
lack.
had a good match with Trick Willie. Let's keep it a buck. I'm glad. I don't care where he's at as long as he's on television. And if Triple H was like, "Hey, bro, go home," you know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be on the road. We'll put you and do some shit with Adonis. I know that's not what you want, but that goes back to the Bobby thing, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
just saying, I see a trend, and I'm looking at next year, the call-ups, if in particularly two men, Trick Williams and Obafemi. Those two guys have an automatic it factor.
Oba has a bigger chance of being Braun than Carmelo Hayes will. I give you that. If Oba comes in and does what Braun Breaker did next year, then I would say, yo, that's what the envision is when you got. I don't see Carmelo. He's good. He's good. But me and you and him are all around the same situation. You know what I'm saying? Height-wise, look-wise, body build-wise, Carmelo looks good. He's a really great performer. But to be as dominant and show that range, I think he's going to have to do it as a heel. I think he's going to have to do it underhanded. I think he's going to have to do it.
I'm okay with that. When I look at people like Cedric, Asante, Carmelo, Wesley, smaller type guys growing within the ranks of WWE, they remind me of like what they're doing with Chad Gable. If they get some time on TV, I'm cool with that because it's always been the small guy trying to have to prove himself. But when you get a Trick Williams or Obafemi who have the look, have the charisma, have the mic skills, all packaged up, ready to go, and you don't go with it, I'm then looking crazy. So
no, listen, I'll ask you if there's room on the boat. You feel me? Because I agree with all the reason why I do when I argue about Pessimist is that again, to my argument portion of it, when I say I've seen enough for him to take marginalized people that did, like Vince didn't do well with Io Sky. Vince didn't do well with Dakota Kai. Vince didn't really do well with Bailey, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, Vince, right? Chad Gable, right? So all I'm saying is that I'm more optimistic in a way that if Vince get a hold of somebody that wants to buy in, if Trips gets a hold of someone that wants to buy into what he's doing, Bobby again and MVP, hey, MVP strong, man. And I ain't gonna hold you. We know P. P like, yo, I want to do something, and if Trips like, nah, he ain't I know what it's like for a nigga. Like, what you mean this work? He called me here, and if he ain't, Trips can do the same thing he did with Austin Theory, nigga. Hey, your daddy ain't here, nigga. You feel me? You're gonna have to play your role, and if you can do it, because I did it. I'm not.
I just hope we get. I don't get how you get let a Bobby Lashley out the door. That's kind of like
Triple H
ain't like Saquon leaving the Giants. How do you let this nigga out the door?
I'm not asking you to do something that I ain't did though. I was not a Vince guy. I was a Vince guy through proxy because I was a Shawn guy. I got punished. I got put on the back burner. I didn't win King of the Ring. I had to fucking listen, I'm telling you.
That's different though, because Bobby's already that dude. Triple H was like, he was a lot younger when that happened.
But you
putting a grown ass man who's been champion on the bench is like, yo, what's good?
You saw on the documentary how Triple H had to temper the ego of The Rock. Like, let's be honest. Rock came in and put his dick on the fucking table, nigga. Dead ass. And Triple H said, hold on, bro, we doing something here. Like, we're doing something. Bro, I went and scrapped and found a nigga Rolex from 40 years ago, my nigga. Like, I'm doing something right now. Y'all niggas gotta wait and rock with me. And if niggas don't want to wait and rock with me, then yeah, you gotta go. Rocky was like, nigga, I'm coming back. And you know I'm coming back. Bobby ain't want to do that, you know? Bobby looked at Nick Nemeth in TNA, was like, oh, I'm about to beat this nigga ass.
Nah, man. It's just sad to see him go, man. It's really sad to see him go because he was the biggest, black male talent on the roster. I'm in my opinion.
He
So
was.
like
He
I
was.
just how do you
He
let him go
he
off the
was.
roster? Is
He was.
it's crazy to me.
He was. And if we're talking about in the pecking order of Biggie, Kofi, Xavier, Bobby, Street Profit, Bobby is probably second behind Big E. Like as far as like all the popularity of the black guys, like in around wrestling fans, Truth has Truth has the equity of being, Ron Killings and doing what he done in the business. But as far as mainstream black face of the business that can really make you some money, it's Biggie and Bobby. It's Biggie and Bobby. Bobby had what little white boys from Arkansas pumping their fist up like they Jesse Owens and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Word. They didn't want to boo the guy when he turned heel. They didn't want to boo him. Like, so like it's just to me, I'm like, man, you saw that and you let that go. You didn't work with it when you had it and then let it go.
That's
So
true.
it just looked kind of funny. But
That's true.
listen, more power to Bobby. Good luck, in your future endeavors. But we'll be watching, man. We'll be watching.
Bobby going to TNA would be nice though.
I think it'll help. I think they'll help them for sure.
I think that would, because right now their main course of action was Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali, and I'm like, yeah. X Division, I'm cool with y'all. Y'all niggas world champions. Damn it,
Now like Bobby and Josh Alexander.
Vince right in my brain, my nigga. I don't know the world champion.
Like if I see Bobby versus Josh Alexander, that could be a banger. Bobby versus Moose. Bobby versus
Bobby versus Jake something. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Bobby got some horses over there that he can get busy with. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That being said, let's move on to the week that was. I know we're about an hour almost into this shit, but let's get to it. Where you want to start? Because I kind of want to start with Blood and Guts. No lie.
Go ahead, take it away.
I sat there, I watched it, and it's AEW. That's it. Go ahead. It's AEW, bro.
Yeah,
it's AEW.
It was
very AEW show. I thought that as entertaining as they are, I just be confused sometimes. So the show starts off with Jericho defending the FTW championship against Minoru.
Change the channel. They're not even bother. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you, bro. You wanna know why I ain't watch Wednesday? Wednesday is my day. It's a busy day. Kids, and it's Jericho, and I'm like, I can't fucking deal.
Well, that was after actually MJF promo. MJF had a promo. It's gonna be MJF and Will Ospreay.
I can't deal with that guy either. That's another. It's and granted, he's going back to what it is that he does best, which is being a complete shithole. And I'm trying to say, bro, you ain't learned how to do it better over time. Like all you did was take it out the refrigerator, put it on the fucking counter, let it unthaw room temperature, and put that bitch in the microwave, bro. Like you ain't even give me organic out the fucking fresh ingredient shit, bro. And I fucking changed the channel. That and Jericho, and then I get motherfucking fucking that Blood and Guts match that made no fucking sense.
Let me just go down it for a little bit. Let me just because I got a little bit on each thing. The MJF promo, it was, cookie cutter MJF. I'm not gonna lie, even me, who's a big fan, was like, all right, cool. It wasn't like I was super taken back in the back. He threw the championship in the dumpster. He got a new championship. He named the United States, the International Championship, the American Championship. So he's doing his thing, redesigning and shaping in his own image and saying that he is, the best. Then he gets chased out by Will Ospreay, and he says that they're going to fight at Wembley. Everything is confusing to me about this because there is so much better of a way to book this. I think MJF and Will Ospreay should have first touched at Wembley. I don't like it. I really don't like the fact that we had to see that great match, which I went back and watched last week, and then have this be the case. Even if Will Ospreay lost at Wembley, it would have been great to see MJF take all that heat in Wembley. Like that would, and we, I would love to see that for the first time at Wembley. It don't make much booking sense. Just like, yeah, we're gonna run it back, guys. We've seen it already. There's no real like excitement anymore because we saw it. And we're going to see it again in a year where we're going to root for Will Ospreay. He's probably going to win it, but we're all predicting that anyway because it's hometown. Like, where are we going? Then we got Daniel Garcia in the background. He's talking shit about him. It doesn't make sense. Then we got Pac as a number one contender coming up next. So I'm saying here, like, all right, we'll see where it goes. After that, Suzuki, Chris Jericho, as you say, it's a channel changer. These guys are 50 plus, right? If I'm not mistaken, both of them. Yeah. And this is your kickoff of the night. And as far as wrestling match, as much as I respect both of these legends, they're both legends. Let's not get that mistaken. Chris Jericho and Minoru Suzuki are fucking living legends. Respectfully, don't want to see that match first. And respectfully, the match shouldn't be happening. Chris Jericho, I get they're doing the learning tree thing. He's saying he needs TV time and everything. I would much more rather see Big Bill versus Minoru Suzuki, to be quite honest. Big Bill with the FTW championship, as much as I'm not even a big fan of him, has a look. His height, his size, he looks like a badass. Chris Jericho is old and looks like he's overweight. And he's slow. This is not even the Chris Jericho that I saw against Kenny Omega at the Superdome. The Tokyo Dome. This is not the same Chris Jericho. This guy is like half the speed of that Chris Jericho. He's extremely slow. And this is not like to disrespect the guy, but it's just facts. He's extremely slow in the ring. And I don't think it's working with the learning tree. I don't. And when I sit back and watch these things, I don't just dismiss it. And I don't say these things to be negative or pessimist. I sit there and really analyze it. If I have an opinion, I have a basic of thought through it. And I'm like, let me take it for face value of what they're trying to give me here. Minoru Suzuki gets beat by Chris Jericho after kicking out of the code breaker off a 1 count and then loses to the Judas Effect at slow motion and then stands up afterwards. Makes no sense. Then he gets jumped by Big Bill and Keith, sorry, not his name, right? The bounty hunter.
Brian Keith.
Excuse me. Yeah. So, and I'm looking at Big Bill and I'm like, okay, if you're going to do this thing with Chris Jericho, why can't Chris Jericho be in the background for Big Bill and be hating on him as FTW champion, saying that you gotta learn from me. And then, as he's champion and make him grow as a talent and have him face Minoru Suzuki. It just didn't make sense to me because a Big Bill victory over Minoru Suzuki does a lot for him. This does nothing for Chris Jericho. Absolutely nothing. It's just basic sense. So I tried to ignore Chris Jericho a lot of the time, but this time I'm sitting there watching no, you're not going to get away with this week. I'm going to sit there and watch this Chris Jericho angle. You got freaking Jack Swagger going on interviews saying you guys are not giving him a chance and you guys are he's just putting people over and he's doing great work. No, he did not make Orange Cassidy. Sorry, he didn't. Orange Cassidy was Orange Cassidy before Chris Jericho. It helped, but that Mimosa match wasn't like a freaking spectacle that we oh yeah, we remember that. Got to go back and watch that. It wasn't a legendary match, And then after that, his run as international champion is what really got Orange Cassidy to the next level. He hasn't been giving the rub to people like we really think he has. As more look at where Sammy Guevara is still. He hasn't not even on television. Look at MJF in spite of that angle with Chris Jericho. I think that was in spite of Chris Jericho, in my opinion. I don't think he really helped him. This is just me. Look at the freaking Pride and Powerful tag team. They split up. Everybody he touches, it hasn't really gotten them to the next level. So when I watch Big Bill, which as much as I'm not even a fan of him, I'm seeing him this guy clearly puts work in the gym. clearly has a look. The FTW championship, he looks like a badass. That should fit for him. And he can fight the Minoru Suzuki's, the Samoa Joes, the Hooks. He can fight all those guys and say, I'm the biggest badass in the room. That works for me as a presentation for your show. And Chris Jericho just doesn't, because we all know he's not the badass. He's not the biggest badass in the room. He's too old to be. He honestly, what they did later on in the night with, it's just crazy because I'm like, now I like him as a guy, but Jeff Jarrett, how they're using him, similarly how they use Sting, is a perfect way they should have used Chris Jericho. Whether it's a heel or babyface, he should be a coach, mentor, inspiring to the next person in line. Jeff Jarrett came in, he talked to Bryan Danielson, who was having an interview with Renee Paquette. And he was like, yeah, it's Wembley, I'm going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. And kind of like just saying he's going to have a good time at Wembley. And then Jeff Jarrett comes in and says, listen, as much as I am upset about not winning the Owen Hart Memorial, I'm glad that you won it. But understand that if you're going to go all in, go all in. Don't just take this guy lightly and swerve, who's on another level right now. He gave him his credit. He put him over. But you got to go all in. This is like, I know this is, you're thinking about retiring and all that stuff. Pretty much give it your all. Whether your neck can be repaired or not, go all out, And, Daniel Bryan said, there's a lot of things I gotta think about, and that was a really inspiring speech. And if Chris Jericho took from that, or took from what Sting did when he was, as he aged and he still wrestled, he still was involved with Darby, but he didn't take the shine away from him in any matter. And the fact that you're now doing a gimmick where you're outwardly saying, oh yeah, I want TV time and waving to it's not over in the way you think it is. It's not like, oh man, he's such a heel. No, it's kind of obnoxious. It's kind of like a slap in the face, because you now know that we think that you are taking shine from other talent, and you turned it into a gimmick now to continually take shine out of other talent. I don't think it's genius. I'm sorry. I know you like to reinvent yourself in different ways and just take what the fans are doing and then turn it into like a negative into a positive. It's not working. It's not. So I don't mean to harp on this guy, because I genuinely think Chris Jericho is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, greatest careers ever in wrestling. Absolutely. But I gotta be honest when I see this shit, because it doesn't help AEW for me to turn on a television show, see a promo, then see him facing the Minoru. It doesn't help the AEW at all. So if I'm gonna watch the show, I'm gonna be critical. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Sorry, off the last things I said. You have anything to chime in with those two things? I know it was long-winded, but that's exactly what I saw from that shit. Moving along, you got Mariah May. She just beat up on a jobber. Cool. Had a little pull-up brawl with Toni Storm.
Toni Storm was like, "Are you ready to die? Because I am."
I didn't even know what she said. It wasn't legible. It wasn't like, I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear it. I rewinded it and everything. I couldn't make out what she said, but thank you for that, because I had no idea. But it's cool, what they're doing. Obviously there's a personal rivalry there. Mariah May looks like a copy of Toni Storm, and that's where I haven't been able to connect with her yet, because you're not. And I don't want to diss your girl, but Jamie Hayter gave me the same vibes of, as what's funny? Jamie Hayter is better, because Jamie Hayter could fucking wrestle, but as a character, I did not connect with her. I'm not connecting with Mariah May, like, at all, heel or babyface. I didn't connect with her. So I hope that over the course of this angle, we get more to connect with her in some facet, get her explanation for what she did. Maybe she gave it and I missed it. I'm not sure. I want to hear her talk more, and just does she have a catchphrase? Does she have things? I know what they call it the glamour now, but that's nothing to me. I need to hear it from her and what she's doing, what's her motivation and shit. So moved on from that. We got Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida. They got a lot of history together in the ring. Good match. Hikaru Shida still great. Britt Baker still doing her thing. Then we got Mercedes Moné come out to say, "Oh, you want this title?" No. And then she got attacked by another random woman that I don't really know. I don't care about that girl. I want this to be Mercedes and Britt. Like, that's all I need. I don't need Mercedes to have a backup. And I just want to see the match. Like, don't mess it up with anybody else involved. I don't want her to interfere in the match. I just want to see a clean Mercedes versus Britt Baker match at Wembley, please. Get this bitch out of here. And not call her a bitch or anything, but this woman, I don't know who she is. She's probably great. She's very tall, very strong. Don't know her name. She put Britt Baker on a torture rack, dropped her, and Mercedes was walking around, with the championship. Did nothing for me because this is not what I want to see from the angle, but I'm going to sit back and wait to see what happens, right? Then we get to the blood and guts match. And I'm going to let you say your piece first.
Well, to the Mariah May situation,
I'll be right back. 1 second.
but I think I will always support Jamie Hayter because Jamie Hayter necessarily doesn't have, I think, the false, like, there was a character in Jamie. You can always see her bubbling up in the background with Britt Baker. Britt would cut her off. She never would do the sign, the hand gesture. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were never given that opportunity to have a heel Jamie Hayter like we're having a heel Chris Statlander. I think a heel Jamie Hayter would have been really well done in the same vein as Chris Statlander for the simple fact that I think there was more character development there.
Yeah.
Mariah May never really played that role that Jamie, like, Jamie didn't do this or none of that. Mariah May was all in the bosom, all in the, you know what I'm saying? And her essentially cosplaying Tony Storm kind of takes away her individuality, which I do agree with you. It's hard to connect because there's no individual. I don't know who she is other than her trying to be Tony Storm or take what Tony Storm has. I will say that before we do get really into the gist of blood and guts, I just was concerned with the alignment of the team. Um, Orange Cassidy with Team AEW, John Moxley, Team AEW. Um, Brian Danielson would have made sense since he just beat Adam Hangman Page at Team AEW. Like, there's a lot of things. I don't know, ever since Tony got hit with the microphone in the stomach, what the fuck he got. I don't know what potatoes he got. Is he
I
not?
think I have an explanation.
Like, what, training camp, Jaguars? Like, let me know something. Football rules all. You know what I mean? So I can understand.
I think what's happening is that they're working backwards from, All In, and they're saying, all right, Wembley, we want Darby Allin versus Jack Perry for the TNT Championship, and we want the Acclaim versus Young Bucks. So they clearly have to be in this blood and guts match. So that's why I think they set it up that way. I don't know if that's the best choice for Wembley, but people love Darby.
Especially not when FTR's back. FTR just came back and declared that they want to go. You feel me? So maybe they'll be all out instead of all in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe it's all out, and then we get the rematch again for the FTR.
Bro, if I see the Bucks and FTR one more. Bro, they sent that tweet out, and them motherfuckers think they goddamn the Midnight Express and goddamn Devon Erics or whatever the fuck,
Well,
nigga.
I think like what are they 2-2 or 3-3
Oh no,
now?
nigga, they running this shit like this is Sportatorium, nigga. God damn.
You know, I think that the next match is like the rubber match of their feud. We'll see how it turns out. But what I took away from this was Bryan Danielson was nowhere to be found, and he has no connection to this match, with Swerve at all in, other than I'm going to be retiring soon and I want the championship. That's kind of how it felt. You know, I need to, show my family that I'm still that guy, but there's no animosity with Swerve necessarily. It's more like a sport kind of competition. And for one of the biggest show or the biggest show that you have of the year, technically, I feel like the main event, at least the AEW championship, I'm not sure what you guys think of the main event. It might be MJF and freaking Watcher. I don't know how you guys book things. But to me, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship should be the main event of the biggest show of the year. And it should have some real animosity between the two guys involved. I love that Hangman Page did not come out when his music, so, but when Swerve came out, that's when he arrived, chained Swerve to the cage and beat him down. And he wasn't even going to get into the match and start it all until he got threatened by Matt Jackson that he will be fired if he doesn't help them with the match because they made a deal. The fact that, Hangman is on his own path right now, I love it. To me, Hangman is the Drew McIntyre of AEW, where everything he's doing right now is hitting, and he's very much in the character and has proper motivation for why he's doing the things he's doing and why he's going to the lengths he's going for to be the heel that he is. And I would have capitalized on it at Wembley. What the fuck is Hangman Page going to do at Wembley? Just interfere in Swerve's match? And if that's the case, you're ruining the moment for Bryan Danielson if he wins it. So like,
I think we could have done two things. One thing, Danielson could have aligned himself with the Elite. As he's retiring, the Elite could have gave him like a sweet severance package or something like that on the board. He can wrestle when he want, how he want, and he could be a champion. Him, Okada, the Bucks, all of them. Like, I think that would have been having Daniel Bryan come out in a fucking suit like he was a stooge back in the corporation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit would have been crazy. Or I think Page can take out Danielson before Wembley. Because I think a three-way would be too much. But Page taking out Danielson before Wembley can add some animosity to the match, and that can be it. That is what I would essentially do. And then I will have Danielson take, maybe take all out, come back, take all out, all off, come back Revolution, because Revolution's around October, November type situations. Like, I'll see you at Dynasty. You know what I'm saying? Give him the fucking build to fucking wrestle in Tokyo. Like, I would do some shit like that, but that would be my thing.
Yeah, I mean, if he's leaving full time, does he have to even win it? Like, that's my mindset. Like, you can just have a really good feud. Like, you can have a really good match. When Ric Flair had Shawn Michaels had that match, they didn't need a championship on the line. Undertaker's last match with AJ, obviously, it was, like more of a cinematic match, but they don't need championships at that time to just say, listen, I'm retiring full time or whatever. It's, to me, if you want to make it this big thing, you don't need to win a championship or even be in a championship picture. This should be Hangman versus Swerve. Let's be real, man. And the way they're showing it on television screen, on their television, the way they're telling the story, it's almost like you guys know this is your best story. You guys keep building on it every week, and there's nothing to do with Bryan Danielson other than the backstage segment with Jeff Jarrett, which even though I liked it, it doesn't build to the match per se the way that a Hangman and Swerve angle does. So it just, like I say, always AEW, the thing is so close but so far all the time, where I want to feel good watching your show, and I do feel good about certain things, and the booking might be cool, like, oh, Swerve versus Bryan Danielson, like, the match is cool. But when you have Swerve in an angle that has nothing to do with Bryan Danielson, and you're weeks away from the show, what do you want me to say? Like, you have people in feuds that are not involved in the match they're going to be having at your biggest show. It makes no sense to me. So yeah, that's my takeaway. The match was crazy. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think the spot with Swerve getting stapled was really cool. See him hulk up that way and start like just finding ways to staple these guys creatively, and I thought it was ill, showcasing him in that light. Swerve is just invulnerable to staples, I guess. But I really enjoyed seeing him, creatively, get through and fight back and staple these guys. Back then he looks over and it's him stapled up, and then you see Hangman on the other side. They slowly get to the middle of the ring and they start brawling. That's the kind of shit that should be taking place if you are building towards this match. But maybe they're saving it for All Out. It could be what they're doing, and it looks like they probably are. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The finish, Darby threatening to kill, Jack Perry unless they quit. Crazy, like pretty much light him on fire. They handcuffed him. But it was kind of like anticlimactic because it wasn't like a move happened or anything like that. But that's how it ended. And then the show went out. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's it. Bowen's taking. There are a lot of chair shots to the head. Bowen's taking that spot off. That dive off the cage or fall through the tables. That was a cool spot as well. I love and I the sacrifice people do when they go into these matches, like because it is
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, honestly. Some of it, but I respect it because you're putting on a show for people and sacrificing their bodies, but that there's no stakes to it, so it always like does throw me off a little bit. But then War Games, there really is no stakes in those games, those either. So I kind of like just accept it for what it is. It was entertaining. That's all I can say. It was entertaining because it was AEW versus Team Elite, but if you're going to brand it that way, there should be a stake of like, all right, if we win, you guys are no longer EVPs, if or something like that, but
no stakes.
There was no real like consequences for the Elite losing. And that's what I would have preferred to see. But hey, I'm not gonna harp on it. It was a really entertaining match. And that's my takes on Dynamite. I didn't watch the rest of their shows this week. I know you did though.
Yeah, everything was. It was all a treat. Now I'm just playing. It was really all a blur, to be quite honest with you. I will say that they had a Rampage Friday, and then they had they had Collision, and then Battle of the Belts yesterday. So to work backwards, because that's what's on my mind as I go through my notes real quick. Collision was Tony Storm and Taya Valkyrie. Willow Nightingale versus Deonna Purrazzo. The Undisputed Kingdom versus Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs. Leo Rush first. Oh, this is. I'm sorry. This is.
One second.
Collision was Orange Cassidy and Johnny TV. That was on, and yeah, it wasn't really. Oh, that triple threat. That's what I was like. Okay, what do I remember from Collision? Okay, My bad, brother. Um, on Collision, we had um, we had Pac and Leo Rush was on Collision. That was the main event. Pac and Leo Rush was what's up, Young G? My niggas, my nigga snatched him like Apollo with the hook. My nigga said, "Yeah." Yo, Gabe Head was like, "Yeah." Anyway, um, the main event was Pac and Leo Rush. That was a really good match. Um, Eminem made their uh, made their debut. Mansoor and Matten. Uh,
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the old Eminem. I was like, oh, where Eminem's back?
nah,
Johnny Morrison and
nah. Johnny
um,
Morrison wrestled. Johnny Morrison had a solo match with Orange Cassidy at the top of the show.
okay,
So that was Johnny TV. He had
Johnny
a
TV.
match with Orange Cassidy. There was Eminem made their debut against Yard. Lance Archer had a squash match. Um, oh, Thunder Rosa versus Maya World. Maya World made her debut on TV. She seems to be a social media, Black Twitter social, independent Black Twitter indie darling. You know what I'm saying? So I might have to pick up on Maya World, like you did Willow Nightingale. See what get
Maya World.
Maya World. I believe that's her name. Maya
All
World.
right.
Um, what else is of note? Oh, you know what? Before I go on anything else, just speak of some shit that I really care about because I really don't care about Collision or
Okay.
Yo, the Death Before Dishonor, my nigga. Let's get into it.
I'm about to say that. Yeah.
Death Before Dishonor. That's the list for niggas. First to say that. Okay. Finally, Lee Moriarty beat Willa Yuta. Thank God. Thank the Lord. Thank you. Lee Moriarty finally wins his first piece of gold, and it's the legendary OG Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling Championship. He won that off of Willa Yuta. That was fucking amazing to see. Also, we have a
Congratulations.
new Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion, and she stirs it up well, baby. Red Velvet won your Ring of Honor World Television title. How do you feel about that, my guy?
Shout out to one of the most underrated, beautiful woman in wrestling, Red Velvet, man. Love her finish. Love her in the ring. Definitely excited to see what they do with her in ROH. I'm excited for her, man. She deserves it. She deserves it, man.
And it was a pretty good match.
No, honestly, you know how I feel about Red Velvet, man. She's spectacular. Definitely deserves it. I'm glad she's getting the shine she deserves. Looking forward to see how they use her and get her more, prominent on television. Listen, I'm not trying to go too crazy like a fan, you know, but a big fan. Trying to be her man, but I'm trying to be a big fan. Not trying to be her fan, trying to be her man. But at the end of the day, I am a fan. I'm glad, happy for her.
Queen Aminata and Athena had a really, really, really great match. Athena is one of the best in the world. Queen Aminata, my gosh, the rocket that they strapped on that young lady is ridiculous. But she's worth it. That gimmick is crazy. You know what I'm saying? My nigga, my nigga Tony Khan was like, Prince Nana makes me a lot of money. Let's see what a Queen Amanada does. You know what I'm saying? So she's out here killing it. Had a great match with Athena. Athena's a really great wrestler to kind of get behind and um, elevate young talent. Again, she was the wrestler who essentially was the closest to ending Asuka's undefeated streak at NXT, and then she went on to have this undefeated championship streak of her own currently right now. So shout out to Athena right now being the best in the world on the women's side.
Shout out to Athena, man.
I think she's the best. She's the best women's wrestler in the world. I think the way that the responsibility of her just to keep the eyeballs on whatever Ring of Honor is doing, because Ring of Honor don't always keep our eyeballs. The way they fucked over Shane Taylor, the way they motherfucking just if Daniel Bryanson wanna get a ring, wanna win a championship, why he don't wrestle Mark Briscoe? You know what I'm saying? Why him? Hey, chicken, why don't wrestle chicken? You know, man. You know what I'm saying? That boy can go. That boy nice. That boy real nice. That nigga, I love Mark Briscoe, boy. He country and motherfucker. They tell where he from, boy. Yeah, man. I think Brian Danielson would do great at Ring of Honor. Being able to just bring, close the chapter out over there. I think that would be something that would be beneficial for everybody to get him the fuck out the way. But they're doing well over there. Ring of Honor doing good. Battle of the Belts. I guess I can talk about it now. Battle of the Belts had Dustin and the Von Erichs win the ROH Trios Championship, 6-man championship. So that correlates both things. You know what I'm saying? Death Before Dishonor and Battle of the Belts. And also another thing that caught my attention from Battle of the Belts that was amazing. Willow and Deanna Purrazzo. Boy, I love all flavors, shapes, and sizes. And two of them was on display Friday because Deanna nice. Deanna nice. Deanna nice. And Willow is nicer. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to the CMLL. That women's championship is actually the championship that Stephanie Vakor had vacated so she can go to WWE. So
that's what's up, man. Hey, man, they had to quickly get at somebody new. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of really don't have anything. Do you have anything?
No, you did a great job. Like you're running it down. Like honestly, I hit Dynamite. You hit the other shows. That's pretty much it. Shout out to all the new champs, especially Red Velvet, and we'll see how things go moving forward with the whole brand. I think it was a good show. Death Before Dishonor seemed like it was a success. Moving on to the E. I couldn't do my reviews this week because it was just a very, 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 very busy week. Just a lot of shit I got going on. So let me just give you my takes here. First and foremost, let's go to the whole angle with CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Looks like Seth Rollins will be the special guest referee for that match.
SummerSlam 97, baby. You go give me a water. SummerSlam 97, bro.
SummerSlam 97, that was what was that? Big Four, Triple H?
No, it was Brett versus Taker with Shawn.
Oh yeah, Shawn. Yes. Shawn with the. So there's no title. Wait, no, the title is not. No, the title is not online for this. So obviously, but it's kind of same sentiment that all three men have history, and putting specifically Seth Rollins in the middle of these two guys is going to be, regardless of who wins it, like it's going to be interesting how it happens, because this is going to spin off into a feud between Seth and the loser. Of course, there's many ways you can go with that, and obviously all three men. I think whoever wins it should be next in line for the World Heavyweight Championship. So in my mind, I would like to see Seth Rollins have to pin the shoulders of Drew McIntyre and have CM Punk go on to face Gunther in the future, because that could be a massacre. But all in all, it just adds more drama to a singles feud that does not need a title. None of these men have a championship, so it adds much more like animosity, drama, or whatever you want to call it, to this feud that's going on here. We saw what happened at Money in the Bank and how CM Punk kind of screwed both of these guys out of the World Championship. Maybe Seth screws him and Drew gets his comeuppance on CM Punk and then goes after Gunther. That still is a banger in my, or Damian Priest, because Damian Priest could win that match. So that's all I know. This to me feels like a number one contendership match, and it's all in the hands of Seth Rollins, who has a vendetta with both of these guys. So I'm really going to be excited to see how this one turns out. Let's move over to, let's go to Damian Priest and Gunther, man. Listen, they're brawling. Gunther was out there talking his shit again. And Damian Priest just came out there and punched him in his mouth, which I fucking love. None of that talking, none of that jabbering. You want to talk about me being a street thug and all this shit? All right, come get these hands. They had a pull apart brawl, and that was that. I'm excited to see this match, because I think both of these guys have something to prove, especially Damian Priest. And he seems like he has a chip on his shoulder. And I think regardless of him winning or losing this match, the match has to be great. You are in a SummerSlam main event. You have to show and prove. You have to put on a show. Anything you want to say about those two matches coming up?
I heard your little tone as far as how good the story was without having a championship involved. That's correct. You name me 3 women on the roster that CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins that can carry a story like that. It's not really.
Name me 3? It takes time to build it. I'm not gonna lie, it's not impossible. Just like I'm saying, Becky obviously is not there now, but she could have done it. I think Liv can do it. I think Rhea can do it. These are people that don't
championship.
Because absolutely without a championship. Right now, the championship in the women's division is on a big star. But let's say they put it on somebody like the Damian Priest of the women's division, such as up and coming Tiffany Stratton, or people like Zelina, or whatever they have next up. Those other guys, or gals, I should say, can have a storyline that just as they can do this whole Dom storyline without the title. Let's be real.
But then you just asked me. You asked me, would you? You asked me, would I like it if a championship took a backseat to another title that's being built? I said no. Well, I want a championship taking a backseat for Dom custody battle? You fucking right, I would. I would. And if the Raw Women's Championship was not involved in this custody battle with Dom, best believe that would have took a backseat to this story. So what I'm saying is also on the men's side, it's not so. It's fact, but context means a lot in the manner of they are fighting for that championship. Those 3 guys, and Seth, Drew, and CM Punk, all have their eyes on what Damian and Gunther are fighting for, with 2 of the 3 just having championship matches in 2 of the last previous PLEs. So what I'm saying is, it is to your point as well. When there's one title and you got 5 niggas, you gotta figure out how to make that shit work, and they're doing it well. But when there's just 2 on the title, how do you make those 3 matter? And I do want to say that this was lightning in the bottle. I do not believe that this was some well thought out goddamn brain thing, that this shit just happened on the damn fly. Because I would tell you what, Drew would have felt the same way like Bobby did if he would have had to take a fucking back seat if CM Punk was fully healthy and they went full bore with CM Punk and fucking Seth Rollins. I can tell you Drew would have left too. So what I am saying is that
wow, you think he would have left?
He caught lightning in a fucking bottle. His contract was up. And they had to convince that nigga that we got something for you if you hold the fuck on. And he's like, hold on for what? For who? For how? What is going like, what you mean, nigga? Like, I ain't got to sign for WrestleMania. And when fucking Punk got hurt, they said, perfect. Are you ready to go? And that's my whole argument to Bobby is that we unfortunately didn't have that on SmackDown. Nobody got hurt on SmackDown. But if they did, and it was a better rapport, I think he would have been Drew.
On SmackDown, Bobby wasn't even involved in the main event. Drew was involved in the main event the entire time, and that's why he was perfect space to like step in. You know, they treated him going into the Royal Rumble like you could possibly win this thing. But so even though they knew that he wasn't the main event, they treated him as such.
But prior to then, Drew was in an IC Championship secondary feud, and he latched himself on because the story was Gunther and Sheamus. The story was Gunther and Sheamus. Drew motherfucking became the third wheel because he just had to be present. I would have rather
Drew was coming off facing Seth.
Excuse me?
Drew was coming off a feud with Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship in the fall, so he wasn't off of the IC Championship. The IC Championship was previous year. With the whole
that's what I'm saying. As far as usage wise, as far as Drew being involved in the main storyline in the championship feud, what I would say is that we just argued to your point. It was lacking main event stars on Raw. You was gonna throw LA Knight over there, my nigga. You know what I'm saying?
That was during the draft. I was saying LA Knight should go there because I thought that would be cool to see him compete for the World Heavyweight Championship. What I'm saying is that under Triple H's regime, how they used Drew was great. They kept him relevant with the IC Championship during WrestleMania. Then Bobby was in the freaking Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Then throughout the year, he was relevant on Raw in programs and the whole Jey Uso thing. And then he had a match with Seth Rollins for the championship, and he a couple of times, I think twice, over like the end of last year, and lost. And he still started to get this chip on his shoulder. He started to slowly turn. Bobby could have had something like that on SmackDown. He could have lost to freaking Roman at least one time and slowly turned, or whatever it may have been. I'm just saying that how they used him could have been better. Obviously, things didn't work out the same way. But to go back to the other point that you were making, yeah, they can do this with the women. And that's my gripe, is that you guys have shown the capability to rise to the occasion with when lightning hits to then, boom, we're going to work with this lightning. We're going to take this energy and transmute it and spread it out a little bit. Now we can have Damian Priest with the championship belt while we're getting CM Punk and Drew and think hot, you know? Because if Charlotte comes back, and if she goes, I don't want her to go right towards the championship. If she can get things over with Tiffany Stratton or Nia Jackson and do that thing for a little bit and have a really blood feud with these girls while Bayley's champion or somebody else, or she goes to Raw and she's over there trying to work with Rhea Ripley on a you know, or work with anybody on Raw outside of that, Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville. That is not champion. And then down the line, while Liv grows in her championship run, they have a title match against any of these women who are trying to then take it to the next level, can be a thing. Becky did it last year. They did it with Becky, so they have done it.
Well, Becky was NXT champion, so she was just not voided without a championship or being presented as a top star, right? She never really took a bump down, essentially, right? She was always managed to maintain her
relevance. Before that, she was in a feud with Trish.
Okay, and the feud with Trish, to your point, you said was the highlight of, because that was during Bianca's reign, but Bianca was champion on SmackDown, or was she champion on Raw?
Rhea Ripley was champion on Raw.
So she was champion.
They had Rhea Ripley as champion while Becky had a hot storyline going on throughout the entire year. You know?
So to what I was saying is that's what I was saying. We had I had criticized Rhea Ripley's championship run because she didn't have strong challengers. She did not have a strong feud. She didn't have a strong storyline. She ran through everybody, which is why we were super excited when Nia came back because okay, she beat the whole roster in a 5-way match, right? Essentially, what I was asking you or what I'm trying to present to you is that the feud that Punk, Rollins, and Drew have ain't something that was written essentially. Like this is like Punk and Rollins do not fucking like each other. They had a vision for them from November. That was what they wanted to go from some Survivor Series when he debuted to WrestleMania. Drew was not going to be involved after he lost the title matches to Seth. Now they built him up. He lost. He had the thing with Jey Uso. That was a good storyline. They did that. But Jey Uso and Drew, if they would have maintained that storyline, would have been third when we talk about Gunther's IC run and fucking Chad Gable chasing, and we're talking about the build of Seth and CM Punk. If we were just stacking that up of how it was supposed to go, Drew and Jey Uso would not feel as strong as they are because it is a little bit more top heavy when you do have Seth uninjured, when you do have Gunther unupheld, when you have CM Punk, right? I'm looking at what they have done and pivoted to. I give credit to them for that, but I don't want to act like that is so easy to do when we started a podcast and it was like, hey, it's so easy to do. And they're like, well, not really, because we got a lot of shit that goes.
I want to clarify that statement though, because what I mean by like this, I trust them with the storylines because they've shown me over the last year that they have a good way of taking it week by week and telling the story. I'm not saying that it's easy as in like, this takes some work. I'm saying that it's like I trust them enough that I'm not concerned with the story per se. I believe that they can do it without a championship involved with it. That much so that you can get these girls over without a mid-card title. I really do. And then once you get them over, boom, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, give them a title shot and see where it goes.
I would agree with you on the Bobby situation with Karrion Kross, but it was just deader than doorknobs. And that ain't on Bobby's portion. That was Triple H trying to help get back over Karrion Kross in AOP. So I know he tried to, essentially he sacrificed
the hottest black group.
But all I'm saying is that when you want to get heat, and this is what I'm arguing. We argued about who is the top baby face other than Cody when we was looking at that roster. So if you are trying to work Karrion over, who do you put him up against that can garnish anything that can? They didn't know that it was going to fall the way it fell. They're like, hey, we tried to turn Bobby. They cheering Bobby. Fuck it, let's run it with Bobby. Karrion go to attack Bobby. Let's see how it goes. And
my thing is that there were moments last year where the bloodline were unchecked. At some point, Bobby should have checked these niggas. Or Karrion even should have checked these niggas at some point. It's like they were afraid of the bloodline. How do you have these two big ass niggas backstage just sitting there waiting? No. That wouldn't happen on Raw. It wouldn't happen with any other group. I don't care if it's even heel versus heel. I don't care about no Logan Paul. Come on now. Like, that's the thing that I had a problem with. The Bloodline Civil War was okay, but I would have preferred a Bobby story, or, and then we had Jey Uso versus Roman again. Like, cool, but not necessary when you have people in line that couldn't get these spots, So people were talking about Solo versus Roman last year. Like, come on. It was months at a time that they were unchecked. And that's the thing. When you have Bobby back there, you could have done something with it. And it's kind of like you guys sacrificed Bobby for everybody else to get over, and it didn't necessarily work.
It
with
didn't.
or and Solo obviously to a degree has now worked out on the long run, but it wasn't like Jay
And
Uso
that,
and
and that is where I would agree with you is that listen, I'm not gonna fault you for the trying. Right now, did you try hard? Is a thing that we can ask. But I right because what I was gonna say is with the Drew, it was Drew's time to get in the bag. You feel me? Like that was supposed to be it. It was time for you to get your ass in the back of the line. Damien, nigga, he probably would have cashed out and failed, nigga. Like to be dead ass honest, like if Punk don't get hurt, we might even not have a Damien. Damien Priest might get kicked out the Judgment Day. Like we might have a whole fucking thing.
everything dominoes fall differently completely.
It
Yeah,
can, and
yeah.
so that's why I'm a little bit apprehensive because yes, it looks really good over here, and it did not go well over here. But if we're looking at how they're telling stories, it looked like it would have been the same type of thread with the long type of thread when it comes to it,
Go watch, go watch, go watch.
because Cody was a long time. Cody went through a tag team championship run with Jey Uso. He went through a feud with Brock Lesnar. He
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke, right? He did a lot of shit, and he was just like, "All right, nigga, how we gonna get the fucking win?" Like you blow, you let some of the steam out this broccoli, nigga. It's gonna be mushy by the time you
And
serve
that's
it.
what I'm talking about with the draft don't really matter. Like I would have loved the Bobby versus Cody feud or something. Even if Cody won, I wouldn't mind it. But Bobby wasn't in the ring with main event talent all last year.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
didn't. You know,
yeah,
it's a problem to me that now he's
yeah,
gone. Boom,
yeah.
gone. A year without main event talent feuds, gone. Like it just felt like you misused him
That's true.
tremendously, Trips. But we'll see how you use your black talent going forward. If Trick Williams and Obafemi come up and they get treated the same way, I'm gonna call it out, and it's gonna look funny. But hopefully, you know, we won't have to, you know, question it.
But
And Carmelo, obviously, you know, going forward, he's a future United States champion, if you ask me. So we'll see where the things go.
yeah, I can definitely agree with you that Bobby and Drew could have been and should have been equal to where you are building both of them up as they
They
were.
protected Drew. They
They,
didn't protect Bobby. Bobby was out here losing in King of the Ring first round. What the fuck?
Bobby lost in the championship tournament where it could have been Bobby and Seth. I would have loved to
Yeah,
see Bobby and Seth. That would have been great because they had
exactly.
already worked for the United States Championship. That would have been great. That would have been good.
It's crazy to me. Yeah, that would have been awesome. And then we have now AJ pretty much in Japan working and not seen on TV. So it didn't even work for AJ. Like you made him win it for no fucking. You know what? Go ahead. I'm not gonna like. It's not like end of the world because his show's still pretty good. But AJ ain't doing shit. He's pretty much dead in the water as a character. Like what's you know, whatever. Speaking of SmackDown, wasn't really an eventful show other than there's a new tag team number one contenders in Jacob Fatu and Tamatanga, and the women's tag division will be Jay Cargill and Bianca versus Fire and Dawn for the women's tag team championship. So yeah, man, I think that's it. Bailey had a tag team match with Mia Chin versus Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. It's cool. Grayson Waller got Austin Theory knocked out. Terrence Crawford came out. You know, they told him to apologize. That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst of weeks, but it was a good week. You
It
know what
was
I'm saying?
okay. Yeah, it was all right. I'm glad I went to see Deadpool and not watch. You know, like I didn't wait around for SmackDown. I went to see Deadpool instead. But I watched it recapped it, and it was cool. It was cool. One second, I'll be right back.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. You hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we got to talk about?
No, I was just watching this promo that I retweeted of MJF. He's challenging Michael Oku at Ref Pro for the American Championship. So MJF is cutting those. It's real MAGA. It's
Oh
gonna be. It's he he about to go on the
God.
he about to go on the America Better Than Yo country tour right now, and
Jesus Christ.
he about to get some real heat, some Jim Cornette heat.
I mean, during the election season, is it genius or is it
It's
bad? I don't
genius
know.
because it's election and Olympics. So
Oh yeah,
essentially, he's just like we're
that's
superior
true.
to you England blokes, you
That is
cricket
true. During the
yellow
same time, yeah.
belt. So he's doing the whole shtick right now. You know what I'm
Hey
saying? But
man, more power to him.
yeah,
All right. With that being said, I think that's it, right?
that's it, brother. We did us a really good service.
Yeah. All's love. Everything is wrestling. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all that good shit. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.